Jerusalem in my heart, based currently in Montreal, Canada. I'm Erin Weisgerber. I do 16 millimeter visuals.
I play music in the project. My name is Alman Moumne, and I'm from Beirut, but I live in Montreal right now. I put it in the vague category of experimental new music. It's a very visceral project. So we both, I think, have our styles both have, it's like very kind of a feeling thing. So when we do the two together, when we do the show, it's like always very much like kind of echoing and feeling each other out. And then it's very common that I get that feedback from people who are in the show that it's a very like emotional show, or it really like brought up very crazy feelings in me because I'm singing everything in Arabic that, majority of the time it's not an Arabic speaking audience here in Europe, so or back home actually. So it's kind of communication without needing to use words, more with like just like the emotion of the work, of the whole experience, the immersive experience. So you walk into it and you're kind of like, it like swallows you, and you kind of choose your path and what it means to what you are experiencing.
Oh man, I mean, we work pretty like separately, right? Like we each do our own thing, and then we bring different elements together. Like I'll, send images or, show Radwan something. He'll come into the studio and look at it, or he'll send me some tracks he's working on. And then at some point we get together, usually in a panic, and actually try to see how things fit together, what makes sense, what works together.
So the format, given that we don't work in video, that everything is, all the visuals are analog film, it's not an immediate format. So there is no creation on the fly. You can't really, for Erin to make anything, it's such a long process of, creating those visuals. So it's never like, let's get together, let's just kind of jam, work some stuff. We can't do that. So that's why it's always like, it's like separate. We talk, we work on separate stuff, and then we get together and try to see what each of us brought. But usually it's obviously easier for me because music is very immediate. Film isn't as immediate in terms of creating the image. We also integrate some of the audio aspects of the projectors and the films into the show, and we have a connection. There's a connection actually between Erin's projection and the sound you hear. Direct is like what's wireless, but there's a direct line. So Erin actually, for part of the set, controls my computer with her projectors, even though they're film projectors. We tweak them to make them work with our setup. But
there's two sides, right? There's like the live show, which is really one thing, and we think of it, I think, as very, very immersive, right?
Yeah, very different thing from a record.
Like we want people to be able to come in and really just kind of like lose themselves in the experience. We want something that's big in terms of both sound and visual, and that those things kind of come together and are experienced as one, I think. Mm-hmm. And then there's the record, which is another process for you, and I think for you is a very important and complete kind of expression. Yeah, I use a 16 millimeter camera, usually a little hand crank Bolex camera, because they're small and they're inexpensive and they're easy to cart around. I love filming, and I love rephotography. Those are like the two things that I really, really am drawn to always working with. I do everything on film, so it's not video, and that means it's shot on 16. I usually hand process it, edit it, do whatever manipulation on the film, use a machine called an optical printer that allows me to do all kinds of effects and rephotography. Use that machine very, very heavily to kind of create something that I love that moment when you have when you can look at something and it looks it was shot in the quote unquote real world. It's linked to the world we're all living in, but there's this kind of distance as well. It's been like reworked to create something that's its own world completely, and doing that manually on the film.
I tell you, I struggle with that question. It's like asking any human being, where do you get your inspiration from? There's no one thing that inspires you. When people give an answer, I find it kind of bullshit. Because you can't be inspired by one thing, because it's denying that everything inspires you. Everything affects you. The weather affects you. Like the food you ate affects you as much as the amazing record you bought that affects you, as much as the shitty record you heard in the subway. Like it's everything affects you, and it's not negative and positive. It's just is. And I think it's like your life experience, the baggage that you come from behind, and the baggage you're about to have in the future, and the baggage you're experiencing in the moment. All that affects. So it's very hard to say, oh, this one artist is my inspiration for what I do. When people say that, like, I get what they mean, but that's not really true. I think it doesn't make sense to me, because we're so complicated. We're all so fucking complicated.